Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brian Masse, Member of Parliament for Windsor West, NDP critic for Innovation, Science, Technology, the Great Lakes and Canada-US Border Relations. I'm joined with my colleague Alexander Boulerice, the Deputy Leader of the NDP. We're here to push for our next step and with regards to fairness from the consumer's perspective for Rogers, with regards to their hidden costs that have been put into contracts and later on exercising them against Canadians. We've seen, again, a rip-off type mentality where basically Canadian consumers are treated like a colony in a sense of getting secondary treatment. And I think it's important to recognize that they don't have the money for this anymore. And so we're asking for, right now, the government to cease allowing Rogers to bid for government contracts. The last 2 years, they had $165 million in government contracts in various different departments and organizations. We don't believe that they should be rewarded anymore. And so this type of procurement thing has been done before in the past with regards to scoping down bad operators. And again, we're calling on the minister to take action. The Liberals have been very weak on this, and it's very important to notice that in the past we have called for a number of different things that have taken place, and Rogers in particular in the past has also been part of some of the more scandalous things. We can even go back and look at the 911 debacle that took place, where the minister only received a courtesy call later on after calling into Rogers as they were fighting with other organizations over providing 911 services. So enough is enough. We've seen that this merger that we've been opposing for has not resulted in the benefactories for Canadians as we want, and simply saying right now it's time to get off the ability to get more money from Canadians right now when they're doing these predatory practices and basically a bait and switch approach that consumers are done with. So I'll entertain questions afterwards, but Alex, please.
Oui. Merci, Brian. Bonjour tout le monde. Alexandre Boulerice, député de Rosemont, Petite-Patrie. Je suis ici avec mon collègue Brian Masse pour dénoncer une situation qui est absolument scandaleuse pour des milliers de consommateurs et consommatrices à travers le pays. Rogers a fait de la fausse publicité, a menti aux gens en leur disant les frais ne vont pas augmenter avec votre contrat si vous signez avec nous. Ce qu'on s'aperçoit aujourd'hui, c'est qu'il y a des frais cachés et que le gouvernement fédéral, les libéraux, ne font rien. Les libéraux de Justin Trudeau sont trop faibles pour se tenir debout face aux grandes compagnies de télécommunications qui vraiment exploitent les consommateurs et les consommatrices. Alors, ce qu'on dit aujourd'hui, nous, c'est qu'ils ont la capacité de changer ça. Qu'ils disent à Rogers, cessez cette activité-là qui fait mal aux consommateurs, qui fait en sorte que les prix augmentent, et sinon, bien, on va suspendre tout nouveau contrat fédéral avec vous, avec Rogers, pour les prochaines années. Ça prend pas un menu législatif, ça ne prend pas un projet de loi, un coup de fil, une réunion, puis une décision du gouvernement libéral pour dire, là, ça suffit, puis on va être là pour se tenir debout, pour protéger les consommateurs et les consommatrices, ce que malheureusement, les libéraux ne font pas, puis que des compagnies, des géants du web comme Rogers, bien, ils en profitent en ce moment. Merci.
So I just got to ask you, Mr. Masse, several questions and I will be done. What precisely are you calling for today?
Basically, Rogers is not to be allowed to bid on government contracts anymore from the federal government. Last 2 years, there's been $165 million of awarded contracts to the company. We're saying right now, take them out of the equation until the minister deals with this issue. And that's a simple way for us to, in the short term, to tell the minister that we're very serious about this. There's other things that should be done, but in the meantime, why reward them by government contracts from taxpayers when the same taxpayers are getting basically a bait and switch approach from them and treated as secondary citizens and the consumers?
But aside from Bell Mobility and TELUS, Rogers is the other provider, so if you remove them from the equation, that creates almost a smaller cartel, a monopoly, duopoly, and then taxpayers won't benefit from lower contracts costs, right?
Well, I thought about that, but you know what? There's such little competition right now amongst the major three, it really will be immaterial. And they also have government contracts as well, too. So I think that, you know, right now, given the fact that there's also like a principled standard here, is that the minister allowed this merger to take place. Really more of a takeover than a merger, in fact. And we're just basically telling the minister to, you know, call up the CEO and tell them to stop doing this type of behavior and live up to the contracts that people thought that they signed where, you know, little clauses were put in there. And I'll just conclude with this. One of the other things that's really been seen through the consumer response on this is that if you're basically, you know, maybe a single parent that you have to go to work every single day and you don't have time to spend hours on the phone renegotiating with Rogers, then you're stuck with the bill. But if you're actually more affluent, have the time, and you can actually badger the back at them and defend yourself, you're going to get the reduction. So we have customers not even being treated the same when they know that they've actually done this type of behaviors. So that's why we're taking a principled stance with this, and I believe that weather contracts will be provided in the future for TELUS and Bell and other operators if that's something that's in the bid. There are other providers in those as well.
Two quick ones. You've been elected 20 years now. And you're the fourth party. What makes you think that the minister's going to listen to you?
Oh, it's pressure. We've been on this file for a long time. It was the NDP that fought to get the unlocking of cell phones. We were the ones that fought to get the 911 debacle cleared up. We've been on this case for many, many years. I've been fighting for the spectrum auction not to be taken from the Liberals and Conservative for years, and we've seen some spectrum auction policy change. So it's public pressure, but it takes awareness and it takes a number of different things. And this maybe seem like a small step, but it's one that we can control right now, and this is a controllable. The minister right now rewarded another, basically millionaire and their family, a luxury with regards to having this type of loophole in the system through regulations. The government and the minister can close those regulations, but they're too cozy in this relationship, and the Conservatives are getting benefits from donations. So what we're saying is putting the public pressure out there that has been done to actually good use to actually protect Canadians.
My final question is, the late Jim Flaherty called the CEOs of certain banks to express his displeasure some years ago. What makes you think Mr. Safari, Mr. Ed Rogers Jr. and others will actually listen to the minister?
Well, there's public pressure, and then they also still have to report every year back on the terms and conditions with the actual merger that was announced. So there actually are terms and conditions that the merger was provided for by the minister. We don't know if they've been lived up to yet. They actually have consequences, and so there is some power there. We just can't accept that we can do nothing. We have a regulated system here by the federal government, and the airwaves that they use belong to the public. Those are actually what we auction off for the use of their products and services. So we have control of this, and we have control in a way that we just need a minister to stand up for Canadians. And I think public pressure is part of that, but also policy pressure. And if they're not going to be good operators, then stop getting a chance to actually bid and get more money from Canadian taxpayers when we know later on you're going to fleece them anyways. And so that's why we're calling on this as a next step.